The one thing I would always tell everyone who joined the team is never say that's not my job. Yeah. We would just take people and just push them into the deep end. Now you go in front of the camera and good luck, you can do it.
My first dream job was to look sexy and go to a corporate office.
You've managed the look sexy part of it, Pat. You're crushing it.
We are told that there's not enough space for us all to shine, but that's not it. And the more every time if you uplift one other woman, they'll uplift another woman. And the best line I've ever heard is you don't need to unscrew anybody else's light bulb to shine.
I was running a brand at that time called Knya, but it was a women's workwear brand. And we thought that we'll help out with PPE supplies. And Abhijit was working from home. And I went to him and I said, I need you.
I am severely self-obsessed. And but what that does is that I am constantly trying to find out कि मुझे क्या अच्छा लगता है, आज क्या करना है. You know, it's very unstructured.
I look gorge. I'm in a serious mode right now. That is... This is how we make viral content here. That's all. Okay. Welcome back to the Bitchaari Podcast. If you are someone who has ever been called bitch or Bitchaari, this is the space for you. You are the superwoman here. Doesn't matter what society thinks about your choices and preferences. Join us in exploring what it takes to be an ambitious woman. The bad, the ugly, the good, the vulnerable. Thank you so much for watching us. Welcome to a new episode of the Bitchaari Podcast. Today I have in this episode three of the most incredible women I know. I have met them in different phases of my life and so excited to have all three of you sitting here. I will do a quick intro because for the audience. From radio beats to digital treats, this entertainment guru wears many hats and is the force where Bollywood begins. She's actually writing her second book, which releases on March 10th, so you should get it. Welcome Malini. A creative maven, from Bollywood scripts to the podcast mix, she dances with stars and creates content tricks. Hi Priyam and welcome to the podcast.
क्या बात है, क्या बात है.
Now we just got to know that Priyam is also starting her entrepreneurial journey and I'm very excited to know all about that, the goddess R we say. Okay, Vanshika, she's a powerhouse of creativity even though she is actually a founder of a medical apparels company called Knya. She's a parent to adorable twins and the other half of the dynamic duo behind Knya Med. I'm so inspired by your content journey for medical professionals. I mean, something that we don't really think about and would love to actually explore that through the episode. Thank you so much, guys.
What about your intro? I know you as one of my prime OG members of the Girl Tribe and I'm very excited to be on your podcast.
I'm Girl Tribe and I have made so many friends through Malini's Girl Tribe. Seriously, before I knew Malini, I used to think, I'll meet her one day and I'll be like, yaar, how did you get into Bollywood marketing? Yeah, please tell me, because to start with, she was a radio jockey, right? We all come from backgrounds where we probably are not, have no background in terms of knowing star kids.
At the lowest of the food chain, basically.
In entertainment, not otherwise. But I've learned so much through the years that, I see her at parties or events. I'm like, one day I'll find her where she is not energetic. But she's always energetic, I've never seen her be a bad host, so...
Thank you, that's very kind.
Thank you so much for actually, one, teaching me so much about content marketing. Been doing it for a decade now, but there's so much that I've learned from you. So now I'll dive right in.
But before we get in, I have to say it would be like unfair if I don't. Okay. Malini is like, I mean, you know this. I have sent her over the years emo texts, drunk texts. emotional phone calls one-on-one. Malini was my first real boss in my first real job. I worked with her between 2014, 2019. Glorious years of my life. And so much of what I do right now, all of that, it started at Miss Malini under Miss Ma'am, who is just A1 since day one.
We literally, I feel, and Priyam is one of my, as the OGs of Team Miss Malini.
OGs.
And that really was an incredible time. We've done all sorts of crazy things. We had our own TV show, many of them, in fact. And we just had the most fun work environment. And I think it's so relevant for this podcast that literally, I think 99.9% of the team were female at that office. And they used to all complain to me that, Malini, why don't you hire any cute boys? And then my husband was a CEO, ironically, and we're married. He's like, no, we should encourage something, but we're married. And the one time we did, remember that one editor we hired who used to come in running? He's not to say, and then they would all say hi, and he would run into the studio and sit and hide there all day and just come out for like a peek to eat his lunch and go back in because it was all these women. But it wasn't by design, they were just the right man for the job.
Yes. So this is a huge
Put it that way, right, man? For the
So this is a huge full circle moment for you, moment for me, and I'm so excited to do this with you.
So proud of you.
Look at us.
I'm literally so proud of all my girls. They've just blossomed. They've just reached such epic places, and I always knew it. And I always mock my husband for this because my hiring process was a little unorthodox, which means I took about 5 seconds to decide whether or not this is going to work out. It's kind of like when you date. And I would know immediately in like 30 seconds, then 5 minutes is actually a stretch. It was like 30 seconds, I know. And he would do multiple rounds of interviews, 45 minutes, 4 days later, and one of them actually stole a laptop.
Yes, we don't have to get it.
We don't have to get into the details. But look at my girls. Mere bachche to wow. Anyway.
What were you? There's
This hiring process, I mean, I completely agree with you because we do so much hiring at Knya and we do different rounds and all, but like first 5 seconds, you just know it. You just know it, whether it's
Guys, you have given me my first question, okay? Which is you have to first tell me your hiring process, okay? And then you have to tell me your hiring process.
No, but literally, I realized that the main thing is that when I was trying to hire people who are journalists for web, they didn't exist. And the whole format and style of writing was very different. So then I started looking online. So actually, one of my very first hires was actually through Twitter, which is like unpacked in my first book. I think Priyam also was through, again, social media. I used to put up blogs or posting anybody want to work at Miss Malini, and they would write like captions and stuff to do it. But I'll tell you what I've realized, that especially I think this is true for millennials and Gen Z. There was a time, and this is unfortunately, when I was working, you worked for a company, you worked your ass off because you had to get paid, and that's what you should expect and nothing more out of life. But millennials and Gen Z are equipped to want more. So it doesn't matter how well you're doing, like great for you. If I work for you or rather with you, what am I getting out of it? And I think that the thing I realized is, I would ask everyone this question, I think everyone's been asked this ad nauseum. Forget me, but what is it that you want to do? Where do you see yourself? And maybe it changes. And then I would try to fit people into a role at the company where I feel that they're going to be on the path to where they want to go, because then they'll be a lot more motivated to do whatever they're doing. And so many people, like 13, 40 people left and came back because they were like, oh, and I looked out, it's not that great. But I feel it, and Priyam is a living example of this, of someone who worked with us in so many different departments, got multiple different, up raises or new responsibilities and shined in all of them. And I think that all the different things you did sort of equipped you to do all the things you're doing today.
100%. I say this, any opportunity I have to mention this, I do. That because at Miss Malini, the job environment that I had, which at the time my peers were not having, was that, oh, what do you mean you only do what you like to do at work? Like, this did not exist, Everybody's hating on their jobs and oh God. And I think just that openness of that, hey, I did this and I don't know, can I try something else? And Malini and even Naushad will be like, yeah, okay, cool, let's see. So, absolutely, yeah. And all of this adds up, like your skill set is, it's many folds growing each.
Correct, it's compounding every single year.
There's a concept called Ikigai that I quote all the time, which is the 4 things. What do I love to do? What am I good at? What can I be paid to do? And then what the world needs. Yes. But if any one of these doesn't happen, if you don't love doing it, or if you can't be paid to do it, or you're not good at it, it just won't work. Yeah. So I think that's the process. But I would love to hear yours as well.
No, absolutely. No, I mean, I think Abhijit and I, and a part of this, we love just hiring freshers, and I think that's a very undervalued set of audience that we don't look at when we're hiring. Because what happens is, I mean, I've seen this with a lot of founders where you want somebody who's done a D2C job before, who's really been involved in like the, growth phase of it, etc. But, and a part of us does do that, but we also feel like a lot of the best performing key employees that we have today are all freshers because they just have that hustle in them, and like that's just so important now. They are hardworking, I think way more hardworking than we were when we were that young. They want to really achieve things in their life, make everybody proud and make themselves proud. I think they work for themselves. They're not working for anybody else to make their parents proud, etc. No, they're doing it because they want to be at a certain stage.
No, totally. And I mean, you have actually made a YouTube channel which has some 200,000 subscribers for medical professionals, which is like, the community is small. You couldn't have done it if you didn't have those young kids working in the team, truly. And it happened within a year, is it?
Within a year, less than a year, we hit 2 lakh subscribers on YouTube. We're at 4.5 now. And honestly, one thing that worked is just hiring this fresh talent and giving them all the liberty you can. Like, we were not involved in anything except that, okay, what is the theme? Like, once the theme is set, it was just them churning out videos, in-house stuff, reels, shorts, community posts, and just running with it.
No, totally. No, it makes so much sense. So, I mean, just to digress a little, right? Because there is one common theme that you both have as founders, Malini and Vanshika, right? You guys are working with your husbands as... I mean, you with Naushad and you with Abhijit. I really want to know how did it happen, and second, does it really work out? I mean, your answer could be no also.
I have many thoughts on this topic.
So honestly, for me, we never planned it. It was not planned. When we got married, Abhijit was doing a private equity job, really well-paid job. My skill set was very, very different than him. Like, I know zero of finance and math, and it just scares me. I'm a very, very creative person. I love ops. I love actually executing stuff. And I was running a brand at that time called Knya, but it was a women's workwear brand. And I got married. I shifted from Delhi to Bombay, and lockdown happened. And at that time, of course, nobody was going to work, so nobody was looking for workwear. And that's when we thought that we'll help out with PPE supplies. And we did that, and things just became so crazy, so crazy. And Abhijit was working from home. And I went to him in the middle of his investor pitch, one of them, and I said, I need you. I just can't do this. And then things just picked up so crazy. I remember having this talk with the entire family where Abhijit was like, I think I'm going to join Vanshika. And his family was honestly amazing, amazing. It was never questions. I think they just had that trust in me as much as they had in him. Because having two people do the same thing and have all your eggs in the same bucket is a risk. So I think that faith is very important. And of course, there are ups and downs. And more downs in the beginning, because I think it takes a while to get to know each other's working style. But what's worked brilliantly for us is really segregating roles. What he does, I don't do. What I do, he has no idea. Macro, we know everything, but we don't get into the weeds of each other's work. Another thing, I mean, recently I had twins. I have 10-month-old twins. Thank you. So I think having a husband as a co-founder really helped me. It was a very high-risk twin pregnancy. Every twin pregnancy is. And I was on bed rest for 9 months, literally the whole time. And I think him being also my husband and the father to the kids, the empathy that he showed at that time was incredible. And I don't think I would have gotten that from any other co-founder in the world.
Yeah, because any other co-founder would not be seeing you at home.
The incentives aren't aligned. The incentives aren't aligned. Here, financially, emotionally, family, socially, everything is aligned, right? You're on the same page. So I think for me, biggest supporter of husband, wife, co-founders, and we've seen so many successful businesses. Yours, Mama Earth, Sugar, so many.
So we have case proof of concept. So more and more married couples become co-founders. I don't know.
You get along as married people.
As married people, as married humans.
I think what's really interesting, so when the way it worked for us is, when basically we met in Bombay, where another company I used to run called Friday Club, which wasn't really official work, but it was a social network before Facebook and all of that. I was, I guess, always really into planning parties. And he walked into one day, and then we dated for 8 months, and then he went off to Harvard Business School for 2 years. So we did 2 years long distance. And when I didn't have a boyfriend here long distance, I actually found myself being very efficient and spending a lot of time more at work than socializing. So that's when I started doing the blog. And he had always kept in touch saying, oh, it's big, it's like, it works really well internationally, you should do it. And when he came back, he's a smarty pants. He went to Yale and Harvard both, and he joined Nomura. And he's the reason I actually decided to quit all my other jobs, Channel V, MTV, radio, and jump into this full time. And a lot of people don't know this, that that year when he was working in Nomura, and I said, I really just want to do this full time, he supported us. So I would not even have begun this journey if it wasn't for him financially supporting both of us. And I said, I want to give it a year, not do anything else, because there was no money in blogging when I started. And the only reason we were able to do it is because that year he supported us, and then it just took off. And I still remember the day he joined us, because he would always sort of, help overnight, burn the midnight oil, and help me and my other business partner, Mike, work on the plans. But the day he left Nomura, he came skipping out of the office saying, I'd never have to wear pants to work again. And I remember he had always told me that he was hoping that one day he'd come to India, run into some IIT kids and start a company. Little did he know that he would do this with me. But the interesting thing for us, I think, which is, so I completely agree with what you're saying. Having two different roles and not being up in each other's business is key. Whenever we worked on the same things, then we are at loggerheads. And I'm going to ask Priyam for her opinion on how she's seen our dynamic at work, because people have seen us argue, and sometimes we'll take it home, sometimes we won't. So I think the pros are you always are on the same page in terms of knowing what's happening at work. Because of our line of work, we got to travel so much. We went to New Zealand on a work/honeymoon. Who gets to do that? And then we get, we understand each other's pain points, but you also never switch off. So you never switch off, so you're always on. So that's the problem. And you also can't bitch about stuff that happens at work, because then he'll have an opinion that might support somebody else's point of view. I'm like, if you didn't work there, you would just be like, oh yeah, that's crazy that happened to you. But here you have too many opinions. Like sometimes I don't want your logic, I just want your empathy. So that's one of it. But the interesting thing, and this is where it gets into the gender dynamics, is because the company is called Miss Malini Entertainment, a lot of people love to call him Mr. Malini. Now, he has no problem with that. His Instagram bio says,
it says Mr.
And I'm okay with that. And he gets a lot of props for this bio, which he also finds very amusing. But if I worked in a company called Mr. Nasha, nobody would bat an eyelid. But the idea that, oh my God, wow, look, your husband works in a company. Well, one, he doesn't work for me at all. He's the CEO. I do joke about the fact that Mary, the CEO, he can never leave. But I just think it's interesting that to date, in a year even like 2024, people are still slightly surprised that our husband works in a company named after his wife, which I think is something that still people need to get past. He's fine with it. I don't know why people struggle with it, or everybody's favorite joke. So please, if you ever feel like cracking this, please know you didn't invent it. Now you're married. Shouldn't it be mrsmalini.com?
But all this Mr. to Miss Malini, which is his bio also. So when your first book had released, I was interviewing Malini, obviously. Malini and Naushad. And then I asked him something about this. And then he said the same thing, that first of all, I find it so bizarre that this is even a conversation. But he said something so interesting, which I think it really stuck with me, where he said the thing is that if you met Malini then, and if you saw the energy, potential, talent and drive she had, I would be so stupid to be like, no, we can't let her go ahead. No, this has to be about me. Like, it would be so ridiculous for me to even think that and not optimize this in a way that benefits both of us as a couple, as business partners. And I was like, yeah, it's, taking a step. It's not a step back, but taking a side step in no way means tumhari kam ho gayi hai importance, or now.
And he runs the business. See, the thing is, and I give him props to the fact that I get to go do all the fun stuff. The awards are all in my name because founder of and whatever, but it's not a one-person job by any means. Me, Mike, Naushad are the 3 co-founders, and honestly, the whole team is the reason. Like, you guys are all the reason that it even became what it did. But it's so interesting how I think people struggle with the concept of it. I think with him, our gender dynamic is so interesting, right? I can't cook. He has a whole organic hydroponic farm in the house, literally. And that's just something he enjoys doing. And normally the irony is that if you ever bought, a wife home appliances, it would be like right? That's all I buy him because he loves to cook. So pasta maker, juicer, bread maker, literally all of this. And recently there was a collab with Dyson where they said, we'll give you a free Dyson if you post about it. I don't even know how to use the Dyson. He was really excited about it. So I'm holding it. He goes, you're holding it wrong. And in this picture, I'm standing with the Dyson. It's me and my dog because it's some extension for the dog that only my husband knows how to use. I still don't. But the funny thing is, this is not like, oh, wow, look, your husband is henpecked or he's a house husband. He just genuinely enjoys it. And I don't know how to do this. So I would have starved in the pandemic if I didn't live with him because I can't even make Maggie. I literally would have. Meanwhile, he's watching MasterChef, making Michelin star meals. So thank you, Naushad, for keeping us alive.
That is super.
Biggest commonality I think here is Naushad and Abhijit. I think both are the driving force behind us working and us succeeding and us being at it every day.
And without making it a big deal, because even for Miss Malini, he would be like, Team Miss Malini, it runs on girl power. Yeah. How can I pretend I have anything to do with it and all? I mean, of course.
They get happiness in seeing us.
Yeah.
No, he was one of the biggest champions of period leave at the company. So I think these are all things that, the thing is, I also struggle with applauding men too much for this because why? Yeah. But then I do feel but it's not at all normalized, so let's applaud them. Let's applaud these men.
No, something, but I'm curious about at the cost of sounding judgmental. But I wanted to know if there's at any point people have asked you that, you are the founders, but your husband is the CEO. Have you ever heard this? And if yes, what has been?
The thing is, I never wanted to be CEO because I hate managing people. Only a few people that I really got along with, and then they understood my hungover persona. But otherwise, I just hate.
We're really being candid
here. Didn't you read the instructions?
Yes.
But literally, I really hate managing people because I would need everyone to like me. And if you manage people, most people don't like you. Yeah. So I don't like that part. So Naushad gets to do that part.
But we love Naushad.
Yeah, we do. And that's so annoying, right? He can be really strict with them and they're like, oh my God, he's the best. And I'll say one angry thing what a bitch. But that also comes with the women territory.
That's why.
Actually, Taylor Swift said it so well, right? Men can have, what did she say? A reaction, and women can only have an overreaction.
No, very interesting. So you have never been asked?
I have been asked that how come you're not the CEO and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to be CEO. I just want to be creative director. And he's epic at it also because he's much more organized. I hate the word processes, drives me crazy. But Priyam's just laughing because she's seen all of this unfold along with my emotions.
Makes complete sense. You founded a company and then you should be able to tell, choose what you want to do for the company. Yeah.
It's but I think that the struggle I have is that should I have said that no, I want to be CEO or do all of that just to prove a point to someone? I think for me, the bigger conversation is that I think I'm super, super lucky that my co-founders, and I'm not married to Mike, but someone who stayed with me for 15 years. Nobody finds co-founders that you can trust so much. Just look at the Facebook story, right? What happens with founders in all dynamics. So I'm very lucky and I'm so happy that they're part of my family. But I think that the tough thing is that I don't like this whole conversation or everything going, as a woman entrepreneur, how does it feel? As a woman, I don't know what it feels like as a male entrepreneur. How would I know the difference?
Yeah. Makes sense. Vanshika, have you ever been asked?
I've been asked that, and honestly, he's better at it than I am. And I prefer it that way because, he should do it because he's better at it than I am.
No, that makes complete sense. So actually to, make this conversation a little, philosophical, you, madam, manifest a lot of things is what I think. I think you wrote something recently on your social media, right? That I've been wanting to do Coffee with Karan since school, right? And you were obsessed. And now you have gone on to being a creative director on the show. One, how does that feel? And second, how did you make it happen?
But that's exactly, I feel like this manifestation is such a buzzword. It has been for a bit. And of course, are we believers? Yeah. Because we are believers in good things and magic and glitter and all those fun things. But even the reel that I posted, it's not like, oh, since I was a little child, I wanted to be a... I didn't care. I didn't give a shit. I didn't know. But since I was a little child, and then at different times in my life, I met interesting people who put me on the right paths, ma'am included. And a big part of the right path is to know exactly this, that you have to follow your joy. You have to do things that you like doing. If you start doing things you like doing, over time you become better at it. And this will lead to something else. That will lead to something else. So the whole thing about manifestation, I feel like people get very caught up with what they want to do. But I feel like it has a little bit to do with who you want to be, you know. Like it's not so much about, oh, but CEO banna is company ka. It should be like the CEO of your life, where there is a work-life balance, there is community, there is friends, interests, hobbies, and yes, work that comes from you and not at you. You're not every day thinking, oh God, like, oh God, can you believe I have to make coffee with Karan? It's like, dude, I've been watching this since I was 12 years old. It'll be stupid if I don't make it. You know, I feel like manifestation should work like that, where by the time something happens, it feels so natural, where you're just like, yeah, you know.
I think also a part of this is genuinely being open to new experiences. Yes, and the one thing I would always tell everyone who joined the team is never say that's not my job.
Yeah.
And you know, like through school and college, you pay so much money to learn. And when you go and work somewhere, people are paying you to grow and learn things. And that's the one thing I loved about one, because our team we would just take people and just push them into the deep end. Now you go in front of the camera and good luck, you can do it. Literally no prep, nothing. And some would sing, some would swim. Most of mine swam. Just put it out there. Most. But literally it was just that. And then you will realize, you know, the best way to figure out what you love to do is by slowly eliminating things you don't really like to do.
Yes, absolutely.
And you'll only figure that out by doing many, many things. Like one of my first jobs was at a company called Ideas for You, where my job was to go to Vijay Sales and write fake reviews about washing machines. I used to go every day, and now for someone who is so domestically challenged, I do not know how to use it to this day.
On button kahan pe hai?
Literally, and so ironically, the skew was the reviews that got the 5 stars from me were the ones that had the shiny lights, or the ones that came in nice pop colors, or had the cool buttons that probably. And I remember once when I, like, many years later showed my husband some of this for fun, he goes, this was the worst one. This had a terrible spin cycle. And I was like, but it was so pretty. So this was my job. But the point is, I went there and realized I hate writing about washing machines. I really don't get it. I don't want to do this for a living. But if I got paid a decent amount, fine, I'll do it. So I've done a lot of crazy shit. I was like at Pragati Maidan wearing an outfit, a Honda, like choker and a dress, and opening the door for people to see the cars at Pragati, 500 rupees a day. I've done all of this. And I remember they said, okay, can you open the front and show us? I don't know how.
What?
So I've like struggled in this car. I'm like, oh, there must be a button somewhere.
Yeah.
Clearly they're
not shiny.
Yeah. And I was clearly not skilled for the job, but I'm like, okay, I tried. I was like, okay, I don't like it. But unless you try all these things, and then I also, you know, I used to always tell people this, and this I have to give my husband credit. I used to say, follow your passion, follow your passion. Then he sent me this great article about passion, that passion isn't necessarily something you love every day.
Yeah.
Passion is something you want to do even when you don't love it every day. Because a lot of people say, oh, I woke up, oh, maybe I don't like doing this because today it sucked. And we've all had it. I have a great life. I love what I do, but there'll be some days I'm like, I don't want to put on hair and makeup today. I don't want to go meet celebrities. Who says that, by the way? Yeah. But I don't want to be ungrateful, but some days I'm like, I just don't want to go.
I mean, it's a full-time on job.
You know, also like this, Jim Carrey had given like this speech which he was talking about his father, who he was very close to, and he was apparently the funniest man he knew. And but because of like circumstances, responsibilities, he did the sensible thing. He became an accountant, and he was supporting his family, etc., etc. Except one day he was fired from his job. They became bankrupt, and they really had to struggle and, you know, like build from ground up. And that's when his father told him that, you know, it's so easy to fail at something you don't want to do. It can happen. So you might as well fail at something you do want to do, you know. So yeah, I thought that was really well put.
Elimination method in like what you want to do in life.
Same logic for boyfriends also. Eliminate.
Absolutely. Eliminate, do not waste time. About this, the video thing she was telling, Malini, this is in 2014, one day, main Bitchaari nahi. Aayu yahan, chalo. Malini's like, you are going to do these video recaps of and I'm like, what do you mean? How do you even do that? She's with this tiny camera.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Like
that?
me?
And me, and you know, and like smaller than a phone. And she took me, and she's like, take it home, you know, whatever. Like, do it, kuch kar lo. Just play with it. And then Venki, a very close friend of mine, who I do so many professional collaborations with now. And this is back when we are children, okay, like early 20s. And I'm trying to be like, you know, and also like you're weird about being on camera, body image, and you know, all of that. And we're trying to figure a frame, ki pata nahi kya. This is back then, and now every year when it comes up in our memories. Okay, this is one when Malini's pushed me in front of camera. Diksha was the first person who hired me for my first hosting job. And then I remember we'd gone, like we were in social, and I'm just like, are you serious? She's like, yeah dude, just fucking go and do it. And I'm like, okay, I guess. And now, cut to a few years later, being on camera, I've done stand-up, I host, I act. I make most of my money doing that, and it's really good money. And all of this because,
But it also comes from the right attitude. Like Priyam has the attitude like, chal, let me try.
You came for one of our shows that we did, yeah. Bewakoof ke liye we did a poetry
It
event.
also takes us, I still remember when Priyam had first come to apply, we came, sat in my office, was literally 1/3 the size of this room. Yes. And she sat down and I was like, okay, so tell me why you want to work here, what you do. So she was like, and literally I remember, I think something very loosely paraphrased to, I have it too easy right now, is what you kind of said. That where I work right now, that I'm too pampered, there's too many boys who like, they buy my lunch, they do my work for me, and I almost feel like it's too easy, and I'm like, I love this attitude.
I can't believe you remember that.
Of course, why do you think I hired you? You were like, I was like, this chick thinks that it's too, like her life is just too easy and she just wants to challenge herself. And I'm like, I love this, come go for it. And then I remember one day when I said that you have to stay and finish something. I also sat with her, poor thing sat there, the long face, because she hadn't finished her job. I'm sitting there and I was like, I'm doing this for you, Priyam. I still remember this whole thing. But I'm like, literally, and I think that it also, I try my Hindi now, you know, it's like, hira parakhne ko, you have to. Hey, one Johar. I was your first Johar.
One Johari to a Johar. That's the title of my book.
Mic drop.
It's so important to have somebody in your life to push you. And like you had her early on in your life, right? Like, and I think Abhijit and I to some extent try to do that with like other people in our company and other employees and other team members. And some take it really well and flourish. And some, as you said, don't take it with the right attitude, right? And those are the people who
should have a desk job. Like I feel also.
Which is not bad. It's just not,
And you know.
My first dream job was to look sexy and go to a corporate office.
And you've managed the look sexy part of it. Pat, you're crushing it.
I made it to one of those. No, but I was, what I was going to add is that it's so, I think that I always say this, that your first boss is so important for this reason. So important. Like if if your first boss does not push you, your career is like 2-3.
So my first boss was, I was a backup dancer. I was a professional dancer for 6 years. My first boss was this lady called Ronika Jacob. So she was the equivalent of Shamak Davar in Delhi. And she was such a boss lady. And I still remember her only rule was you cannot date anyone in the troupe. So Malini has immediately gone and fallen in love with someone. And I was like, but I'm also a huge nerd. So I'm like, now I must confess. So I've gone and told her. So she's looked at my face and then she started laughing. She goes, I was never going to find out, right? You know that, right? I'm like, yeah, but I felt like I had to tell you. She goes, that's hilarious. And then she changed the rule. She said, as long as you're honest about it. And I was like, I've created social change. Just because I was so guilty that what if she finds out? I was terrified. And I was like, I still remember thinking that she was just such a powerful personality. And at that time also, it was just a very different time, right? So she didn't come out as gay. Only now she talks about it then. But she must have had a lot of struggles. But she held herself with so much dignity. There was never a boohoo. There was never that fear of what will people say or how. She was just a boss. And I think that also rubbed off on me, even though I'm a very timid, needy, insecure person. I was like, okay, let me
absolutely not.
I really am. I just really fake it very well. So a lot of it. Yeah. Look at that. So I can do it, you can.
See, I always say that we're doing this podcast to make a playbook for like females who are ambitious. But then there must be other issues that society gives you, right? So it's like to make it.
Amazing lady called Wendy Clark, who used to be the director of DDB Mudra, like the global biggest agency. Yeah. she said the best thing. She said that we all have this little, all women have a voice in our head that tells us that we're not good enough, that gives us that imposter syndrome, comments on something in the mirror. Now she said you have to separate that voice in your head from yourself and imagine that this is just a roommate that you live with, that you nurture and you take care of, but when you leave the house, that is your roommate, that is not you. And as soon as you make that separation, literally like Fight Club, you will really understand that all of this little voice is what's holding a lot of us back. A lot of times people ask me, what was the problem in the boardroom? What held you back? Nobody, aside from myself, said, oh, you don't have the business acumen, you don't know the numbers. You can, we can do anything. Anyone can do anything. Girls, boys, both. It's just that we convince ourselves कि मुझसे नहीं हो पाएगा.
And also I think to like, you know, you would not talk to yourself like your best friend, but literally look at yourself from your best friend's perspective. Because she will just one day be like, oh, today I think my hair is not sitting. You're like, are you mad?
You look great.
You have the best hair in the world, you know, and you're not, and you know you're not just saying that, you believe that, you think your best friend is amazing because she is, and she thinks the exact same thing about you. So, and she's not a dumb fuck, so she must be right.
But the problem is that many females don't have those best friends, and I think like I've not seen it. I actually started making really good girlfriends late 20s and maybe early 30s because I started seeing. I did the elimination method there, yaar. This female does not deserve to be my best friend because, I mean, if my friend is not making me feel good about myself, I don't think they.
And it's completely normal and natural to outgrow friendships. I really believe I made my best friend in my 30s, you know, and you change because you change, they change, you have different priorities and it's totally fine. I think the bigger thing is honestly, just like you said, if you see a little, it's all about empathy and kindness. And I've found, touch wood, now more and more, I think I've also reached a place of slightly more zen that I'm attracting that energy. Otherwise, if you have that anxious, FOMO, jealous energy, that's also what you attract.
Yeah. I mean, once I've actually received a really long message from a really old friend pitching me ki yaar, you need therapy. For like, she doesn't know what's happening in my life. Out of a conversation, I'm like, yeah, delete and block. I'm not going to listen to you with that, right? But Priyam, actually, I was making a point there. You pushed her for videos, right? Then I saw lots of Priyam's videos. Okay, I mean, because
I missed out.
Yeah,
I will send you some links all over.
Yeah, so she used to. She would interview every walking A-star actors. Okay, matlab ye nahi kam, Shah Rukh Khan, Anushka, everyone on that list. And the way she will carry herself, I was like, yaar, ye kaise karti hai, yaar, ye bandi. Matlab, so, and I knew her from Delhi, you know, so I used to, and I'm a content obsessed person for years now, right? So I would keep noticing her. And then I told her one day, yaar, I really have to work with you, you know. So once I moved to Bombay, then I take her out and I'm like, mereko kaise bhi I have to work with you, so we'll figure it out eventually. And then eventually it worked out with events and we did multiple events. Then she's been host and she's a fantastic host of any event, I feel. So I mean, I think that, you know, you'll give push a woman and then someone else will notice something. That's how it starts.
I heard the best thing ever. So I went to hear Michelle Obama speak once. And with like L'Oreal had taken like 50 bloggers. And she was so amazing because she said to all this sea of women, she said, you know, I look around this room and I'm not worried anymore because in this room are tomorrow's leaders, big sisters, bosses, CEOs, whatever have you. And I can see that you're going to fill the world with empathy. And she said, you know, the biggest fallacy that we have is that all women have to be in competition. And this is something that we've been fed through patriarchy. And there's a great book called The Power about it, is that we are told that, you know, there's not enough space for us all to shine, but that's not it. And the more, every time, if you uplift one other woman, they'll uplift another woman. And the best line I've ever heard is you don't need to unscrew anybody else's light bulb to shine.
Yeah.
Best thing I've ever heard. And the more you support other women in their success, the more you will find it happening with you. And that is the thing, you know, your success doesn't need to rely on anyone else's failure. Yeah. I don't know where this thinking comes from, maybe a lot of Saas Bahu shows.
Truly!
But it's really not like that. And even within Bollywood, which is why we did a whole series on girl love in Bollywood, where we asked Bollywood actresses to talk about which other actress they love. It's because people love this narrative. You saw recently on A Coffee with Karan, where they were talking about Zinat Aman were talking about how her and Parveen Babi were never in competition. They had a healthy sort of respect for each other. is the fact that people love this narrative of they don't get along and they argue, and they don't do this as much to men. They just do it to women. It's just genuinely important for us to, the best you can do in your day. And I tell people, it doesn't have to be massive. You can literally compliment a girl for something you noticed. Like literally just do that and it'll change her entire day.
Yes.
Because that's why I bought that lipstick or those shoes or whatever it is. Literally that's it. And sometimes you feel like awkward, like, oh, you know, you're so awkward to give someone a compliment. They might be suspicious for a second, understandably. You might feel awkward, but then nothing bad will come of it.
Then it becomes a habit, and that's what we need, right? So I want to actually get a little serious about actually understanding your roles in terms of what you're doing, and because that's the whole point, right? I want to know why you're doing what you're doing. So Vanshika, I'll actually start with you, right? I want to know what is, I mean, Knya is something very different, yaar. Matlab your scrubs are like fashionable for medical professionals, like the cool Shah Rukh Khans of, you know, I can imagine they're like you know, coming out in Kanya's scrubs. Yeah, they do, all colors. And they have
Malini's next business endeavor.
and they have gifts also for doctor friends, etc. Right? So, so tell me the whole genesis of Knya. It's something very new, and tell me how it's going, really running it as a founder.
No, so see, medical professionals and the entire medical community has been very, very underserved, right? Nobody's thought of them. I bet we've all been to the hospital, to clinics multiple times. Have you ever given a thought of what they're wearing? You probably don't even remember the last doctor you visited, what he was wearing. They've never been thought of. Usually the norm till now is, even now, is these hospitals, Breach Candy, Just Look, XYZ, all of them, get like a tailor. The tailor comes in with like fabric that they've bought from Lajpat Nagar, from Mangaldas Market, and all the doctors are sent one by one, jao apna measurement do aur silwa lo. Right? That is the norm. Right? Why Nike was born for athletes. Right? Because athletes cannot run in everyday clothes. Right? They needed performance apparel to do what they are best at. Why can't medical professionals have that? They are working way more than you and I, than all of us.
Yeah. Right? They actually work the 18 hours.
More than that, they have 36-hour shifts. They are living in their apparel, sleeping in their apparel, doing everything, surgeries, right? Why is it that nobody thought of them? What are they wearing? Are they comfortable? What do they need? Do they need their scrubs to be stretchable? Do they have enough time to iron their clothes before they get to work? So that is what I think we started doing. And I love doing it only because I feel like we have a bigger purpose doing it, right? Like when I was doing women workwear, I loved it. I loved designing for it. I loved sourcing for it. I loved the photo shoots, the glamour that came with it. But I yet somewhere didn't find myself very purpose driven. Whereas here I find myself very purpose driven because I know the apparel that I'm making is changing someone's life, is helping them perform better, and more than perform better, it's helping them feel better, look better, because everybody cares about how they look. You and I care about how we look today at this podcast. Why are we saying that a medical professional doesn't care or a nurse doesn't care? Of course she cares. And they're wearing the same thing every day. They're wearing the same thing every day. It's a uniform for them, which makes them very proud.
Especially, I think this must have come out. I mean, you started during COVID, so I think that obviously COVID, mein to it was just much worse. All of this, right? So, but I think it's a fantastic purpose, man. I mean, I've been, because of you guys actually, I've been reading a lot about medical professionals and seeing the numbers, like the kind of violence on them, etc. And I think, I mean,
Can you order them as gifts? Because I have a couple of dogs.
Of course. And you know, like some facts, right? 75% of medical professionals get attacked at least once in their lifetime. An average age expectancy of a doctor is 69 as compared to normal, which is 80, 85. Right? The kind of mental pressure that medical professionals have, the kind of working hours, their sleep cycles, their mental health. It's crazy. It really is. And even to become a doctor in itself is the biggest challenge, right? So yeah, that's the
Very interesting, yeah. In fact, Priyam's parents are doctors. Send them. Let's do some influencer marketing on the podcast.
I'm gonna order some for my favorite doctors who really changed my life. Yeah, for sure.
See?
yeah.
कितना हम
You know,
business
one
कर रहे हैं.
actually the proudest moment, because you said that you have a doctor that changed your life, and that's how I thought of this. I mentioned I delivered 10 months back, and I remember, so I delivered at HN Hospital, and I remember the time when I was on the stretcher, taken to the OT room because I had a C-section, and every doctor or nurse or technician in that room in front of my stretcher who was pulling me in, and there were 4 of them pulling me in, and then rest were in the OT. They were all in Kanya's crowd.
Wow.
We were all in Kanya's crowds, and at that stage, you're the most anxious, you're the most like, I don't know what's gonna happen, especially with twins. I was so nervous that just having that feeling of like being surrounded by people who
Wearing your
yeah,
brand.
was a great feeling. We wrote about that on LinkedIn.
We did. No, that's very. But I'm loving it that you said it on the, because as a video, it just makes so much of a difference. But thank you for sharing that story. I think, and I've heard it so many times from Abhijit that how, I mean, yeah, 9 months in bed on bed rest is crazy. You couldn't go back to Delhi. You couldn't meet your parents. So it's.
I think the only place I was allowed on special permission was the bathroom.
But look at you. And look at your twins. So very cool, yaar. Thank you for sharing that. I think one thing that I'm very interested in knowing, and you will kill me for that. But because Coffee with Karan, and we've always heard that yaar, entertainment to there's one thing that sells. So is sex the only thing that sells?
She's like, what could that be?
What could it be, Diksha? I'm confused.
I mean, what is your question?
Like females or talking about sex or being sexy. I'm saying that sex sells is what entertainment tells us, right? Is it still the case in terms of?
First of all, entertainment does not tell you that. Society tells you that. Okay. Of course, sex sells. I mean, what do you mean? Are you not interested in sex? All of us are. Having said that, have you watched the season of Coffee with Karan?
मैंने औरी का देखा बस.
तो what is selling? Let us please note. There are 13 episodes. That's the one you've chosen.
I feel like entertainment has really grown and progressed through the years, right? And there's a lot of content that is coming out now to educate the audience. I am curious to know कि यार, has the audience now kind of progressed into thinking, yaar, I want to learn. I'm watching more educative content than Sheila Ki Jawani. I'm sorry, but this is just a question ki yaar.
First of all, Sheila Ki Jawani. Sheila is a feminist icon. I will take no other.
So I'll tell you, there's this one time I wrote about this, and I know a friend of mine called me and asked me कि यार you wrote this and अक्कर बक्कर के तब views होते थे तो पहुंच गया था कटरीना कैफ को, and she said, he called me, he works with her like very closely, and he said ki, but that makes sense. So there was a lot of news around how we make such songs in Bollywood that kind of encourages a culture, and I don't want to take the name, but that I can treat a woman like this, I can look at a woman like this, and again, this is very controversial and you can choose not to answer, but it made her think what I wrote, because there was a video of ek ke baad ek item numbers and some opinion piece on yaar, everyone watches this. Does it normalize some behavior in the society, right, towards women? So it just, that piece just made her think that do my songs, make people feel like that. And so yes, I don't know if it's I can call that song a feminist icon, but I would love to know from you.
मुझे और किसी की ज़रूरत कहाँ मैं खुद से प्यार जताऊँ, that's it. I will take no other opinions on Sheila Ki Jawani. That's literally a self-love anthem. But apart from that, does sex sell? Yes. And is the media entertainment what we see, it affects society? Yes, also. But I think like when we are sexualizing women especially, that's the difference. Are we sexualizing a woman, or is she feeling sexy? There are two different things, and the gaze is the most important part. So I feel like a Sheila Ki Jawani, which is Katrina Kaif looking amazing, which happened, it's shot so like aesthetically, it's like a Broadway number. Farah Khan has directed it. It's women-led. The lyrics are on point. Sunidhi Chauhan, our OG queen, is singing it. It all fucking aligns. Now an item song which is I don't know other background people who did it, but there's an R.A. Pritam Pyare song that exists. Okay, it's in an Akshay Kumar movie.
Oh God, ये मुझे बहुत सही लगता है because sometimes you get more information.
I think it's a banger. I think it's a great song to hear. And also to watch,
we should add that song in the edit,
there are three incredible dancers like giving it their all. But how that song has been shot is excessively male gazy. The camera angles are like that. How they are being shot is like that. The lyrics are a little bit like that. So are we pretending that those things don't exist in society? They do. Animal pe itta jo ho raha hai ki, oh, but sexism. Bitch, there's sexism in your house.
Truly.
Fight that.
You're just showing reality, probably.
Not even showing reality, but I'm saying that the animal problem is what? Not that angry men or men who don't know what to do with their emotions exist. Of course they do. We all deal with them. But in the end of your narrative, they cannot win. They can't be like, अच्छा इस behavior का तुम्हें लड़की भी तुम्हें मिलेगी, शादी भी तुम्हारी होगी और तुम्हें कर दिया हमने absolve because you're paying the shut up. Devdas also flawed character, bad to women, misandrist, no, ulta, misogynist. Shah Rukh Khan is playing it, the stakes are high, Sanjay Bhansali is making it, but at the end of it, he dies alone, without a woman, without a job.
And with a heartbreak.
And with a heartbreak. So, do problematic men exist in the country? Yeah. Is sex existing in the country, in this world? Yes. But what the point of view is, what your intention of showing it, I think makes all the difference.
No, truly, and we've all seen it changing. Yeah, the kind of stories being told today and the way they're being told is changing. Ki yaar, okay, maybe because my audience is smarter now.
See, I don't think it's a chicken and egg situation, right? You can say that, oh, is it on the filmmaker or the entertainment to change what they're feeding you? Or are you just going to keep feeding a beast that wants what they want? For example, on Miss Malini, we took a call many years ago. We are not going to do funeral spotting.
Yeah, makes sense.
Everybody does it. Enough people will go watch who came to whose funeral wearing white. They will destroy someone for having had a smile on their face accidentally because they met someone, because it's not a social event. But they're covering it like a social event. It's being covered like a red carpet. But the point is, there's going to be voyeurism everywhere. People have died from it. Princess Diana, case in point, literally. But you can't just say that one thing is going to solve it. You can't say that the audience is getting smarter or not. There's enough of an audience that's not. There's enough of an audience for cringy reality. I watch cringy reality, I'm not going to lie.
+1.
Yeah, but is that going to be how I decide my life choices, or is that going to be how I behave based on what I see? I think we have to move past a point where we blame entertainment for everything that's wrong in society, because entertainment is a reflection. Art is a reflection of life. And you can see the change in it. There was a time where all the shows were, and I also love all of these, the reincarnation movies and all, it was all about that. And now it's a lot more about, like, if you just see the latest one, what is the name is escaping me, Kahan Aage?
Kho Gaye Hum
Kahan, which is so well made and it is so on point, and the way that they have explained trolling and the nature of a troll and why they behave that way and where the hatred comes from is so on point. So a film like that would not be made if society is not bleeding into entertainment. So I think they're not mutually exclusive, and you can keep saying that you can blame media for doing this or doing that, but I don't think you can blame entertainment and media for rapes happening. You have to blame the rapists for that, So
No, totally.
That's the kind of focus that we need to sort of shift, because otherwise you can ad nauseum blame anybody else.
No, for sure. But for me, like I've always thought that when you have the power to change mindsets, and I'm not saying ab to nahi ho raha hai. I to really like how storytelling is being done today. So I'm not talking about today also. I'm talking like years ago. But and I personally have seen that, okay, now suddenly we are actually thinking here, I can change mindsets. so can I make this movie?
You know, but two things on that. One, that I feel like when we have these conversations, we are still thinking about that 1%er that we are around. You know,
Truly,
people like these
I agree.
in air-conditioned rooms like this with hired lights like these, right? This is not the rest of the country. It's not the rest of the world. Also, what Malini said about, you know, her intention, because we were there at the time, that the funeral stories will not be covered because it is her company. She can make that choice, but knowing that the funeral stories are getting the maximum hits, you can't deny the data.
Of course.
So this is, I think, of the best example of knowing that, oh, has the audience grown and all? There is all kinds of audience. If you have the power to create something, I think your creative endeavor should lead you to the audience that you want to find.
Yeah.
Right? So is it somebody's responsibility? Do all creators have social responsibility? They should,
But they may
but
not.
if they don't want to, it's up to them.
And I think
Yeah.
we're very aware when we made the rule that we can't write anything you can't say to someone's face. In the entertainment industry is probably maybe not necessarily the smartest decision when clickbait and looking for who's having sex, who's doing drugs. But I just took a call that it just makes me unhappy to do content like that. So there's enough other places for them to get it. Let's not also do that. Let's make Shah Rukh Khan and Abhishek Bachchan play charades, and maybe there's an audience for that. And luckily there is, you know. Because who doesn't want to see Shah Rukh act out Bluff Master too? I mean, come on. Kind of pretty.
I feel like sometimes we feel like we have to take media seriously always. Like sometimes it's just like for you to step out of your reality and your like everyday life and be like, okay, I'm gonna watch something which is very far from my reality and just treat it as like enjoyment and come back. Like for example, Animal, right? Animal is not reality, right? But I like the movie. Why not? It's not my reality. I've stepped out. I've had a good time. Come back. Doesn't mean that I want to be like that, or I want my husband or my father to be like that.
No, and when Kabir Singh came out, I remember having a conversation with Shahid Kapoor about it. He said, look, everyone is giving me such a hard time. But in Hollywood, when a Leonardo DiCaprio acts out from Wolf of Wall Street, nobody bats an eyelid. I do understand the nuances how in India, culturally, the audiences have hero worship and they can't distinguish between the actor and the act. Right, or the role they're playing. So I do see that, but I think it's really important that there's no one blanket rule that fits all either. And I think it's really important that we sort of start changing the narrative. Like I just saw a really interesting conversation, I think it was on Satyamev Jayate, where this lady was talking to Amir Khan and saying that why do we shame the rape victim? That iski to izzat lut gayi. And why has society decided to put all of the society's izzat in her womb? Right? Or her vagina, actually, more specifically. That's not where I think my izzat lives, right? So the person who should be told that you have lost, that you should be ashamed, or that you are now lost your izzat is the rapist, not the one who was raped. But that's a societal mindset.
Yeah. No, I just one point that I want to make there is what the rule that you made at Miss Malini, right, was made because you are the founder, right? So I think that is where it matters that like leaders like this spread through the world, through the country, because
I'm very happy that, okay, maybe it would have been a much more successful tabloidly entertainment thing. It could have gone a different path. People have chosen that. But I'm very happy to say that there is a space for positive entertainment, which is about fun and games and fun content. And it's not like we're never cheeky. It's not that we didn't poke fun and say, hey, are you dating someone? But we did it in a way that I could make eye contact, or I could look that person in the eye tomorrow. And I'm very happy about that. And what I'm here to say is that there is a version of entertainment in the world that exists that can be done without funeral spotting, that can be done without, sexism, and it's completely doable. And I remember when the whole Me Too thing came out, I remember Rashmi from our team to send me a message saying, I don't think it's okay that we haven't said anything, and I don't think it's okay that we still cover stories or films made by people accused of this. And I took her point. She was right, because we do turn a blind eye when we think the problem is too big for us to handle. And then we said, no, we're now going to call it out. And we had to call it out, and it's really scary. But then now the fine line is, what do you do when they're absolved by law? How much can you still say, no, I still think you're wrong, even though I probably know you are? Then you have to say, okay, now I have to follow what the law has said. But I think that my point is that there is space, and if you have the privilege, I have great privilege to be able to make this choice, that I could do it, but I don't fault people who don't have privilege for not doing it.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a much more nuanced conversation. But at the center of it, I think when we're talking about content specifically, there's a lot of like FOMO shots. I know a lot of my friends are just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is what we are, because we are used to watching Sex and the City, right? You have to understand Sex and the City in the US aired in 90s. This is where we are at, right? And if you are not finding it relatable, वो तुम्हारे लिए बना भी नहीं है. This is for people who are not watching Sex and the City. This is for people to create that aspiration value who are not in your socio-economic class bracket. So in terms of content, if you like something great, follow it. It could be funeral, animal, girl, boy, whatever. But if you're not liking it, don't waste your time hating on it, because there are people like
I agree. Unfollow
That's why it
kar do.
exists. Unsubscribe. Move on from it.
Yeah.
You don't like something, move on.
Life goal actually. Yeah.
No, I completely. That's very interesting. And
And that's not just media, and it's any girl's life, anybody's life. It's a life thing.
yeah, so obviously, I mean, this is something I'm curious as a founder also, right? If you've run something for a really long time, it's also kind of difficult to be like, okay, now my company is acquired and now I'm a part of it. हाँ, ये मेरा ये मेरी बेटी है. So of course, Miss Malini got acquired by the Good Glam Group last year, right? And I was actually surprised, because I don't think I ever thought कि ऐसा भी हो सकता है, because you guys were doing so many big things that it didn't even occur to me that this is possible, right? So tell us about that. How has how did the acquisition happen? If someone had to, like, if someone like a D2C founder or someone who's watching this, just tell us, like, what was the process like and how does it feel? Like, is it a happy ending? Is it a I don't know, maybe, but what is this?
I am dying to know.
So there's many layers to this, okay? So basically, I think we have a brilliant product. Miss Malini Entertainment is the first of its kind. I always struggled with something when I was fundraising called Key Man Insurance. That Malini, since the company is called Miss Malini, what if you got hit by a bus? People have asked me this more than you would imagine. So basically, this Key Man Insurance was always an issue. That what if you get hit by a bus, and that becomes a problem because then the company can't outlive you. Right? So what I did for that is I started to separate Malini Agarwal, the person, from Miss Malini, the brand. And that's why you would see more and more of other people doing interviews, like exceptional talents like Priyam, Shrava, and all of our other hosts. If I don't name all of them, I'll be sorry, I'll be in trouble. But the point is, I wanted to separate that out because I wanted to leave a legacy brand. So then we were out, we raised a lot of money. We had, everyone from Ananya Birla, who's an investor, Orias, NEA, a lot of different people. And then I realized also the pandemic also happened. It's not easy to be so responsible for so many lives day in, day out. It takes its toll. And I'm being very honest, working with my husband over 10, 15 years, we've always kind of bootstrapped our lives because all the money, everything, all of our eggs, like you said, are in one basket. And so after a while, it felt like, okay, do I want to go this whole hog by ourselves and say we're just going to keep pumping money in, keep trying to raise money and do it, or do we need some help? Now, to be very honest, it's very difficult to give your baby up and not be in full control anymore. But I think the good thing about the founders at Good Glam Group, Darpan especially, is that I've known him for many years. And I remember sitting next to him in a plane where I told him that I do something called Friday Club. And he had sent a friend of his who had joined and I think met his wife there, actually, it was funnily enough. And years later, I'd met Darpan, who had started My Glam at that time, which is his cosmetics company. And he was talking about sort of the process of how to do influencer marketing. And when he came back and said, now I'm doing a content to commerce play where I'm acquiring a lot of media companies and I have brands, and I really believe that a personality-led brand will do wonders for the larger conglomerate. I was very grateful that he understood the value of investing in a personality-led brand, because yes, tomorrow if Malini gets hit by a bus, what happens to his mind never happened. And I think he gave me the confidence that I want you to run your business the way that you continue to do it, because why would I invest or why would I want to acquire a company like you if I didn't? So I had that belief. I had a conversation just before that with another company that I'm not going to name, but flew us to Bangalore, offered us a lot of money and said the only thing that we want from you is to just file bankruptcy so you don't have to pay anyone back from your initial founders, investors, and then just show up again. I was like, you want me to fake my death essentially and then come back and be like, just kidding, and not pay anyone back. And their logic was that, oh, because people invest and not investments come true. And I was like, I'm not okay with that. And I love that my husband was like, almost laughed in their face and said, you want us to do what? And so we didn't, and that company is now folded, by the way. So bullet dodged. But I'm very glad that one, we were able to, and our team was so supportive. There were salary delays because it's tough times when money has to come in the bank, but they all had our back, and we were able to stand by everyone, where everyone eventually got paid everything they were owed. We were able to pay back all of our investors, with some people getting a 5x return, some getting a 2x return, which is great, because I have learned over the years, raising money is easier than returning money. And so I'm very glad that now I'm clean of heart. Everyone who believed in me didn't lose money off of it. They in fact made money off of it. And now a lot of those investors have equity in Good Glam Group, which is hopefully, fingers crossed, is going to IPO in a couple of years. So by that lens, it's amazing. But to be honest, it's always scary when you have new companies and you have new management, and you don't make every blanket decision anymore. So I can't suddenly say that I'm going to do this or not do this. So it's hard to let go of control, especially for people like me who micromanage a lot. I could feel the sigh on the side, just ever so slight. But it's always tough. It's almost like a marriage, just like you said, right? Like, I've given my baby to a new family, but I've also moved in with her, and now we all live together. And you may not always agree on things. You may feel like, okay, I would have done it differently, but you have so much more support. And the company, our Good Glam Group, has Pop XO, Scoop Whoop, Miss Malini. So we have a lot more clout and power, and we have so many great brands where we're sitting in shooting a room where you have Manish Malhotra, Kjo's Pout, and we're able to do so many more things. I only used to live in the digital world. Now I have a creative studio, and we're building another 5,000 square feet. So there's a lot that we can do. So it's bittersweet for sure. Would I have loved to do it myself and had a giant pink building with rose gold glass windows, which I may have thought about a lot? Maybe one day in a different avatar. But I'm so glad that I didn't have to let anyone down, and we're able to do so much more as being part of a bigger, team than I ever could have before.
No, that is put so well. In fact, you have the building and all of those things that we are sitting in one.
You have that, but without that crazy responsibility.
And it's a lot just to be in charge of people's livelihoods. See, now I get to do the fun stuff as me, and like you say, it used to be my circus and my monkeys. Now it's not my circus, still my monkeys.
No, and a point that you made, and I think basically the best founders are those who are actually able to pay their investors back for sure. I mean, of course, multiply their money, but at least pay them back. And a lot of founders are not able to do that.
And it's not easy, and I don't fault anyone who hasn't been able to do it, because it's not easy. But I'm so glad that we took the conscious decision not to try to rip anyone off, and clearly we did the right thing by not going for that deal. And I believe that the people who have acquired Miss Malini, I believe that this company has gone to the right place, that it's going to thrive and survive, and literally, casual plug, my book Under the Influence tagline is How to Survive and Thrive Online. I do believe that it's found a good and safe home.
No, truly. In fact, this actually, I have a follow-up question that actually you and Priyam can both answer. I mean, you guys have, worn many hats, I think, right? I mean, you started as a radio jockey. You're also a digital media influencer, if we can say it, but also a founder, and right? And so what is this? How does this transition feel, and how have you managed to, be all of these have so much versatility in your professional life and personal, I feel. And do you enjoy it? Which hat is the one that you enjoy the most?
I have crazy amounts of FOMO. My entire career is based on that, they're doing this, mujhe bhi karna chahiye. Literally everything from, like, remember, I was like, chal Priyam, let's do a Big Boss podcast.
Yeah, remember me?
Literally everything. Yeah. We used to do also.
And the vibe was this only, ki chal, let's.
And again, my creative process, or how I start different departments, is literally, I'll be like, hey, I have an idea, and I'll tell Naushad and Mike, and they're like, Malini, don't do it, think it through, plan it. Girl Tribe, case in point. I was like, met Facebook guys, hey, do you want to start a Facebook group? Sure. Then I went home, I'm like, maybe it'll be a call Girl Tribe. Should I start it right now? Naushad, should I? He's like, just wait. While I'm typing, he's like, just wait, plan it, whatever. I'm like, I started it. It's done now. Because that's my process, which is no process. Like, let's just do it now and run with it. And then they have to pick up the pieces around it, they do a great job of that too. But literally for me, it's that I want to do everything. And what do I love doing most? I love coming up with new things to start. So my next company is going to be called If Idea Factory, and I'm just going to start new stuff, and then whoever wants to run with it runs with it. And that's really how I function. I know it sounds crazy, but it's worked for me so far.
Will you incubate, like create ideas and blah, blah, blah?
100%. And hopefully now I've already got one portfolio investment that you're going to actually see on Shark Tank soon.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
They've heard it here first. One portfolio investment I'm really excited about. But I genuinely feel like I love coming up with something out of nothing. Like literally coming up with ideas and saying, hey, just have an idea, whether it's an idea for a content piece, whether it's an idea for literally a new company. I love doing that most. I don't like managing people. I don't like the process of like, okay, who's going to do what? I just sort of say the idea and then I try to get people so excited about it that people start to volunteer. So far it's worked.
No, I relate to that a lot because I do that. My co-founder can say that. But actually...
I'm sorry on both our behalves.
Really, he's like, wait, can we just see the budget? I'm like, no, let's do this.
I don't have time to see the budget.
But Priyam, so you also have that. You've done stand-up comedy, you're an actor. You are going to be an entrepreneur now, doing Goddess Hour, right? Want to know, like, what is the biggest challenge with that, and why do you keep doing all of this? Like,
I think on the like Malini operates out of FOMO. I have the opposite of that, but I am severely self-obsessed, and
आप अपनी favorite.
मैं अपनी favorite हूँ, but what that does is that I am constantly trying to find out कि मुझे क्या अच्छा लगता है, आज क्या करना है. You know, it's very unstructured. But the conclusion for, even though it is FOMO and this is self-obsession, where it meets is this, that yeah, I thought of this and I want to do it. Yeah. Like that is the process. That is the only process. If at all it works, it's great. If it was fun, you do it a couple of more times. You do it till it makes sense. Where it stops making sense, do something else. Along the way, if you are somebody who is making these decisions not based on external, what I should do, what will work, ye mujhe isne bataya, then you kind of find the right people also. Your ideas get optimized also. And most importantly, which I think we forget because ambition, etc. kind of becomes very overwhelming, that you don't have to lose yourself through the process. At the end of this, तुम्हें मजा भी आना चाहिए. That is main. Otherwise you do a job that will be much more secure, much more, you know.
And that's also okay.
And that is also completely okay. But if this is the path that you have chosen, a big part of this is to be in tune with what is it that you want to do when, and it's okay if it changes. Aren't you proud how smart I'm sounding?
I'm really impressed. Where was this? Where was all this insight? No, wisdom. It was always there.
Where were these pearls of wisdom?
But Priyam has always been an exceptional writer, and she just has pizzazz. Like literally, I remember because Naushad was also the office therapist. So literally all these because none of us. My biggest thing is I never had a desk. All I wanted in my life is I wanted a pink chair and a desk. I never got. They're like, there isn't budget. I'm like, but we have 300 employees. Why can't I have a desk? But Naushad used to sit in one of the glass conference rooms. And I put up a sign at some point saying, don't disturb the CEO. But Priyam would just walk in like, hey, what's happening today, Naushad? But he used to always love speaking to Priyam because they would have just the most interesting, fun conversations where she wouldn't always go in with a complaint. Everyone else would go with a complaint. She genuinely used to ask him every other day, are you okay?
Aww, that's so nice.
He really appreciates that.
And not because I'm trying to whatever, like be friends with Naushad. Because that day I feel like, क्या करना है आज Priyam? ना Naushad से पूछते हैं, क्या कर, उसका क्या चल रहा है? You know?
Like, I'm really curious कि उसका क्या, is he feeling okay?
Curiosity is everything. If you're curious about, I did the pole dancing class recently, and I've gotten lots of like messages from my friends being like, oh my god, we had no idea you want to do it. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, but one day I saw it, I asked somebody where I could do it, and then I went ahead and I did it. So just that.
This happened with me and football 2 years ago, honestly.
You're like an athlete.
I know.
Bilkul.
Who is this person that I didn't know ever in my life?
And I will also, last thing I will say on that while you're on this journey, there could be shit that you wanted to do, and you did it, and it totally sucked. Yeah. Fine, now it's out of the way.
Now you know Now you don't have FOMO for it anymore.
That's it.
Yeah, you're not going to regret tomorrow I didn't do this. This is actually, the three of us are, I know that is, but Vanshika, actually an episode that we shot last with women, something came up, and actually I've thought about it a lot, and you're the best person to answer this. That I feel that over the years, of course, like as we have, as the society has become better to women, and we are becoming leaders and, doing more jobs, etc., getting more educated, etc., etc. Sure, we have, we are becoming more successful, but that doesn't mean that our roles, the number of roles reduce. Right, so we're also a mother. I mean, in some sense, ghar pe we have to take care. While paternity leave is an option for fathers, and it's not mandatory, I think, and you can answer better. And a lot of fathers don't take that because they don't know how to, like, what to do at home, because mother has to feed the child. Yeah, literally. This is
Did not see this coming.
So, what do you think about these two things? Right, one. Roles are increasing as while you're also while you could also be CEO, founder, etc. So how do we solve for that in some sense, and how does your family maybe support in that sense? And second is that paternity leave. I mean, you could give Abhijit's example if he took it or not. Doesn't matter, but tell me your thoughts on that, since you're a new mother.
Yeah. So I think being a woman, you have no choice. Firstly, I feel. I think being a woman also gives you the strength to deal with everything. I think men are incredible. I love my husband. I think he is the smartest human being, very, very emotionally driven person as well, He also did Penn, he also did Stanford. So he has that, the empathy, the emotional quotient in him, which I think GSB really teaches you. But I think women are the executors. Right? I think Abhijit could not have got it right. Biologically, it's not possible, right? Only women can do that. And I think we just have to deal with it. We just have to do it. And I think for me, giving up work was not an option. Abhijit didn't give me that option either. Abhijit has never had that conversation with me saying that, Vanshika, you're pregnant now, it's twins, it's double the effort, it's like everything doubled, right? Do you want to consider like stepping down? Should we get somebody else? Never. It wasn't a conversation. In fact, I'll tell you what he did do. I didn't go physically to office for like many, many months because I was on bed rest. I was working from home, but I was in such a horrible position where I could only give a couple of hours to work at that time. And what he did do is never made me feel like I don't know anything what's going on in office. He made sure that every employee in the company, every team member knows that I am involved, even if I wasn't. Any decision he had to make, an employee would come to him and say that, okay, Abhijit, like this situation, what do we do? He would say, he is the decision maker at that point. He could have totally sort of taken that call, but he said, let me check with Vanshika and get back. And that's what really helped me coming back to work, because I never felt lost. I never felt like the company's grown a lot more with.
And that shows a lot of respect. That shows a lot of respect for you as a co-founder, as an entrepreneur, where it's very easy to then have made excuses for it that, oh, you weren't there. But that also takes a very secure man, which I think is incredible.
I mean, he was also there sleeping every night with me in the hospital. But he was also the man going to work straight from the hospital and coming back straight to the hospital. So hospital was my home for like 3 months straight, but it was his home as well.
Yeah. No, so we need like a secure.
So I think women have the strength, but I think having men in your life who uplift that strength and don't let that strength fall apart is equally important.
Yeah, when you don't have to fight that battle at home. That's so much, because then and it gives you that confidence, because already we have imposter syndrome. We have all this going on. It would have been very easy to unravel you through gaslighting and all of that. And so many people do that. So many women face that constantly. So it's the same thing.
Give up. They're like, yeah, I would rather not deal with this.
Which is the same thing, right? Where people are like, see, I don't have kids, but that's a choice that I made. And a lot of times I still remember going to a wedding and my mom was introducing me to someone, and the first thing this lady asked me, some auntie, she's like, how many children do you have? And I said, I don't have any. She was like, oh. And then I said, I have a business, that's my baby, and actually I have 60 kids in the office. True story. And then my mom, who's very sweetly in my defense, sort of said, Ki abhi shaadi hui hai. I'm like, Mom, it's been 7 years, so it's not like we haven't gotten to it yet, you know what I mean? But it's just that we're definitely doing it. Don't worry about it. Yeah. But it was so funny that was her defense mechanism to like defend me, because they're like, and then a lot of times when I say, if somebody asks me, I say I have a dog, but I don't want to offend them. I'm like, no, I don't have children. They're like, oh, it's okay. I'm like, but I know it's okay. I'm completely fine. are you okay? Like, you know, but it's so funny that it's literally like, they start to unravel that I don't have kids. And I'm like, I'm totally fine. Like, it's like, is this something you want to talk about? Like, and it's so funny because, I mean, it's obviously a personal choice to have a pet, to have a child, to do whatever, right? But I feel that there was a time where I used to always feel the need to explain it, that, oh, it's by choice, or I can't biologically. I'm like, why? I don't explain it. I'm very happy. I'm happy that you have kids. I'm happy that I don't have your kids.
That is the main point. You did a great thing for the world.
I was at a friend's kids, human child's birthday party. It's very important. I said, 4-year-old's birthday party. And they're all talking about their kids. And I have a 3-year-old, his name is Milo, he's a beagle, he's my son.
Adorable.
And he's a little bit of a brat. And they were saying that how their kids do something. And I said, oh, Milo did that. And somebody said, how old is your son? And I panicked. So I said 3. Because I didn't know. I was like, oh my God, now I've compared my dog to your child. What do you and I'm really hoping that Naushad and we had just gone to a dog park the day before where we realized that Milo likes to bark at bigger dogs. And Naushad had said, you know, one day he should get his ass kicked so he learns. Now I'm hoping that he doesn't come and say this in this conversation because they're going to report us to child services. But I've coasted out of this birthday party with someone thinking I have a 3-year-old son called Milo who has an attitude problem.
And is barking at others.
He's really like, he's so loud, like, you know, unnecessarily. So one day, and then maybe she'll look at my Instagram, she's like, there's no pictures of your child. Maybe she's one of those who doesn't post about her children. Sorry.
Moving to the it is too funny. I'm what? And your expressions are bang on.
Just because, and then I was like caught too deep in my lie, you know. Now I don't know what to do. Now I'm gonna have to start like sending out birthday presents from Milo. It's gonna be a problem, man.
So we are moving to our last segment where I want to talk about the new exciting things that all of you are doing, and I'll start with you. Your second book is coming.
The second one is not out yet, so this is the first. Yes. It will be as beautiful.
The Moon, which I have read.
Yes.
I don't know.
The
I've
second.
read it. It's amazing. Please get
You're in it also. You wrote
I'm
in it.
in it also.
Yeah, I mean, it has a very different. So what I liked about the book was you've been innovative with the way you've structured the whole book. I always noticed that.
Written as 42 blogs because I was terrified of writing a book. My second book is called Under the Influence, and it's basically the dummy's guide on how to survive and thrive online. And I think what I've really unpacked in it is my social media journey, that it took its pound of flesh. I'm addicted to my phone, sitting right here, and I keep wanting to turn it over. And I do have nightmares that one day my Instagram will be deleted, and that means social media suicide. And people are like, do you really I genuinely dream about this stuff. In fact, an OTT show coming soon that I have produced as well on this topic. Casually.
NBD.
But I'm really, really proud of this book. I started writing it during the pandemic. It usually doesn't take me so long to finish a book. 4 years later, it's coming out. But I really feel that it's going to be a really great guide for anyone who wants to begin their social media journey, wants to understand influencers and content creators in this whole world. And I'm really, really proud of it. And you can, by the time this podcast is out, probably pre-book it because it's out March 10th. But pre-bookings open in February.
Super. To the moon. Look at her taking a picture.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Everyone says the rocket hasn't moved. I'm like, that's just not how ink works. It's just...
Or creativity.
Oh my God.
You know.
Also, people don't get sarcasm also. I've realized they're like, okay. But they're like, why don't I? I was like, should I just do
This I really struggle with, yeah, sarcasm. Sometimes, like, I mean, I don't want to offend, but I'm being sarcastic.
No, the best is I've had interns where I'm like, okay, I'll just do it myself. And they're like, okay. I have to tell this story though. There was an intern, I hope he's watching, who came to his superior. This is at this point where I don't even speak to the interns because I've reached such a level of nirvana, it seems. I've heard this story that he's come in at noon and he said, I'm going to leave now. And so his boss has asked him at the time, his manager, you're not feeling well. He goes, I'm not feeling the vibe. Oh. I love that. Love that for him, right? Not feeling the vibe of paying you also then.
Yes, exactly. No, but that's a true thing. People do that, man, these days, which is so...
That is the freedom that I'm talking about. They are good at, they know what they're doing. They really do, but
they're not going to get very far with this attitude though. I'm just letting you.
Doesn't work. I am sorry. As a founder, though, I see it as a red flag.
I really feel like the workplace is changing. I really do. And I feel like this 9 to 5 thing and this coming at 9, going at 6
I
doesn't
just
work.
feel like you have to be slightly senior than an intern to say that, even if it has a joke or a half joke. You know, like you've not done enough for you to know what a vibe is, and then to decide if you're feeling it or not.
That makes sense.
First, figure out what a vibe exists outside.
Also, I do want you to love your job, but the point is, I do pay you to be here. So if you're not feeling the vibe today, then just feel the money in your bank account, and you should be fine. Right?
Yeah.
My father used to always tell me this. He used to, so since grade 8 almost, every summer holiday, every winter, so many holidays at that time we used to have. I have no holiday now. But he used to just,
used to have it.
yeah, we used to have, imagine, there were times where we had summer holidays where you did nothing in life. But this nothing in life period, which I was supposed to have, my father used to call me to work and make me sit on a chair. Just sit, like, do nothing, morning to night.
Look how successful
Nothing.
you are. So see it
But
work.
just sit on the chair, and I used to ask him, I was like, I'm not even doing, please give me something to do. He said, you're ready. I'm teaching you how to sit on a chair from morning to night. Which is what you need to be doing anything in your life.
I should do this with my intern.
Just do it. And do it with Milo also.
I love my son. My son.
So, okay, now tell us about Goddess R and what's in store.
Okay, so Goddess Art is something that I did in the pandemic very successfully. It was very close to my heart. We did a collab with Malini's Girl Tribe also, which at the core of it is a movement-based dance class which helps you unleash your inner goddess, because all of us should be feeling sexy all the times, because all of us are goddesses and every hour can be goddess hour. So now it's coming back and we're scaling up. It's called Goddess Hour Inc. And now, of course, the dance class is going to be at the center of it, the core of it, which we'll do it offline, online. But now we're also scaling up to doing events. We will do a Goddess Hour bachelorette, a birthday party. I'm sure our
Let's do one here. I have a mirror.
Absolutely.
And please collaborate with Bitchaari for goodies.
Absolutely. So this is...
get like these goodies like sex toys, etc.
Okay, lovely. I will present you with my heart with Goddess Hour, because this is not a women-only space, but it is a women-first endeavor, which is, you were talking about Ikigai earlier, and I've just come to realize through a series of events that this is mine, and it's I think by the time this airs, hopefully we would have launched. But even if not, please follow me. Mad exciting things are coming up, and I feel like I'm just...
Let's do a Goddess Hour collab and invite all the female doctors to come and get a...
Look at this brainstorming sesh going on, man.
Already just channelizing goddess energy. I can feel it happening, and I will get in touch with all
viral
of
that
you.
video will go if they're on pink scrubs. I'm in.
So tell us about Knya now. What is? I know that you guys have back to back. They have opened like 2 retail stores in Bombay. Okay, that needs something. So tell us about the stores and how is it going, and what's anything new that we are looking forward to it.
A lot of new stuff, right? We launched first only on our website, kanyamed.com. Majority of our sales are yet online, so we're an e-commerce first company. 2 months back, we opened 2 of our stores in Bombay, in Nerul and in Parel. The whole idea was to have a touch point with the customers. We're obviously placed closer to medical colleges and hospitals, so that we're a lot more approachable. The idea is to open a couple of more in the coming months, so everything's in the pipeline. And of course, penetrate to tier 2, tier 3 cities, which is a very important segment for us. We launched our own app as well. So it's shopping at your touch point, because we do understand the life of a medical professional and how busy they are. They literally have no time to do anything. So the effort is to make it as easy, as convenient, as accessible, and as less time consuming for them as possible. So yeah, and the greater mission, of course, apart from making them, look better, feel better, giving them scrubs, is celebrating them. It's celebrating them. I don't think they are celebrated enough, and I think we need to be celebrated enough. So to get them to celebrate, to feel like one community, it's such a close-tight community, right? Your parents are doctors. You'll probably know this. They probably have friends who are doctors as well, and it's such a close-knit community where everybody talks to each other, celebrates each other. It's such a strong friendship that there's so much to do there. So I think community building is at its core.
That though I've seen at Knya, like actually they have built their brand around community building. So since day zero, they have just, that is why their YouTube channel picked off. I mean, all their content is around doctors who are their customers.
The whole idea is to make it very relatable.
What even with Goddess Our Inc., the literal main purpose is community building, which of course I have learnt from ma'am. Because I feel like Miss Malini also, like, the core brand value is just this, that everybody comes together to do something they love doing and share the joy.
No, truly. I think ये तो brainstorming session हो गया, तो वो pink scrubs आप तैयार रख लो.
I'm ordering them immediately. My favorite doctor.
And we'll actually, we have to send Bitchaari gifts.
You can feel sexy and it's you can dance.
Oof.
I like it.
Bachelorette. बहुत ही सही है ये. But okay, so let's. This is the last thing that is my favorite, because I want you to write an opinion from the society that you would love to throw in the dustbin.
Thank you.
Anything you may have heard, anything.
Give me something to write this, put this on.
You could have been told, मेरा mic गिर गया नीचे, but it's fine.
देखो book क्या कुछ तो to put it on.
See,
What you're doing?
I'm playing myself in
No,
it.
but in what?
In a new movie that's called The New Movie That Never Was. It's really good. It has 42 cameos, Hollywood cameos. It's going to be really, really fun. It's a mockumentary, isn't it?
Oh, nice.
I'll call you. We'll do screening.
Yeah. Okay, I've written it.
I've written it.
Wow. Love it.
I'm on my second one.
Oh,
This one I'm
Overachiever.
most irritated
Overachieving.
chair.
This is the geek in the class. हम लोग बोले जा रहे हैं हमें करना, हमें ये भी करना है, हमें वो भी करना है. यहाँ पे she's sitting quietly with her notes.
In that chair for too long.
I'm most irritated by the second one.
Okay, done. Now show it on your respective cameras. Who wants to go first? Vanshika, you go first. Okay.
I have to read out.
2 kids.
Okay, so it's 2 kids. How will you work? And twins are the same as having 2 kids. Sorry, twins and having 2 kids is the same thing.
Just now.
Technically.
Technically, no.
Yeah, I have no idea what the second one means, but we are not the expertise on this. You have
हाँ बताओ.
dogs,
Say something about that.
Twins are 2 human beings you've kept together simultaneously in your womb for 9 months, which is not a joke. They've come out mostly premature because they're twins, which means you're worrying a lot more about them. You're nurturing them, emotionally caring for themselves, trying in the middle of all this to care a little bit about yourself, working, health issues, etc. Battling both together at the same time. You have not had the time to bond with one baby, to know how it's done, to learn from your mistakes, and then come to the second one after 2 years.
I completely agree.
You are making the mistakes with both, you're learning from both. When I'm with one, I'm thinking about the other one. When I'm the other one, I'm thinking about the other one. You are never content. Guilt is in your DNA. You do whatever, and I think honestly, I'd give really a lot of credit to myself on how I'm managing work and 2 kids and twins. And yet the guilt is just always there. No matter what I do, I sleep every night with guilt. And it's just when somebody tells me, "Oh, to mere bhi to 2 hai," like great, aapke 2 hai, but actually no other mom will understand this except a twin moms.
Yeah, and finding those people who can relate is also like rare, na, in your life. No, please just.
Great job.
Yes, queen.
Oh my god.
So just tear it or do whatever that you want to do with this and throw it away. Yes. Go on, tell us about. And no, first let us see how she's throwing it. Throw it. Just throw it. Woo! Okay then.
What about next?
I can. Mine is actually on adoption, where people say tumhara khoon nahi hai. So there was a time where I considered very seriously adopting, and I actually had a great conversation with Sushmita Sen about this, where she said, because I'd gone to so many doctors here who are actually like in the medical profession, and they would literally say, oh, why don't you do surrogacy, because otherwise if you adopt, tumhara khoon nahi hoga. And I was talking to Sushmita Sen about this, who you know adopted as a single mom years ago. And she said the best thing about adoption, such a simple concept. She said, when two people get married, literally, puri kainat comes to celebrate you choosing to be with a complete stranger for the rest of your life, and they celebrate it. So why wouldn't they do the same with a child that may not be your blood, but is so much more malleable? So by that token, Milo mera khoon nahi hai, but he is my full love. So goodbye to tumhara khoon nahi hai. It's all about your soul family and the ones that you choose.
We love it.
Boom. Just throw it away.
Drama.
Drama.
The drama.
And for me, stop telling women what they should or should not do. Okay? Women should, I hate it. It gives me an ick. Because you don't get to tell me or anybody else what I can or can't do. And also, therefore, sitting here right now, all of us have different personality types, journeys, goals, priorities, and all of them are valid and all of them should exist. So don't tell women what they should or should not do. Should not to don't, but should also just don't.
Interesting. I was watching a video yesterday. Sania Mirza. कुछ भी तुम कुछ भी कर लो लाइफ में यार. कोई random बंदा तुम्हें आके पूछ ही लेगा ये कि so where's your son? You should be with him. That's what she was asked, and she's like, so I asked him, where is your son? You should be with him. He's at home. How does it matter? Like such an interesting point that no matter what you achieve, you're told.
Just
Thank you so much for being a part of this, man. I mean, I think we've got some great points of view, and this is the whole point of doing this. So I will give everyone a hug, or maybe we should do a group hug.
thank you, ladies. This was amazing.
और मेरा mic फिर से गिर गया यार. This is a part of my episode. That's it, folks. Please leave a comment if you liked this episode. If you are a girl boss or a woman powering through the puzzle that is patriarchy, please don't forget to give us a shout out. We need it. We need all the support. And hit that subscribe button. Press that bell icon because it's super important for us. Thank you so much.